What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants or Us, here with Lance Needham, my other half of Rants or Us on audio. As always, guys, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave us a comment down below. All right, so we're going to be talking about today why Wormtail chose the Weasleys, or precisely chose the Weasleys as his family. What do you think, Lance?
I think it was because they were kind of low key because they're poor. They weren't big, prominent into the wizarding community. So he could kind of hide in the shadows, but also at the same time keep his ear open for movements of Voldemort or any kind of dark magic for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Weasley's father, he was, part of the ministry.
Yeah.
There was that. I mean, so there was a connection in that route. But then at the same time, I say that's a connection, but how would being Ron's pet really allow him to really connect in that way? You get what I mean? Like, he wouldn't know the inner workings. He wasn't going to work with
No, I don't think he would know like the inner workings, but I think like they still got wizarding news, so they would be talking amongst themselves about things that would go on, and he could overhear without drawing attention to himself. Because I mean, let's face it, he wasn't safe with the Death Eaters, and he wasn't safe with his friends because he had betrayed them. So he wanted to keep in touch with the wizarding world, but also be in the shadows. And I feel like with the Weasleys, it was just a perfect opportunity because, like I said, they weren't very prominent in the wizarding worlds. It's not like they were like the Malfoys or,
Yeah, it wasn't like they was, mingling with the other families where the other families might become suspicious of him or something along those lines.
Right, and in that world, it's not out of the ordinary for your kids to have a pet rat. Like
no. And also, and you know what? It was the '90s, so there was some strange pets back then. I remember Horny Tarantula.
And I feel like he could keep an ear out without drawing attention to himself. He didn't have to shift into human form to try to go find something out. He could just kind of keep his ear out.
But see, there's a certain point of thought to it of why not choose the Malfoys, and then literally he would be in the know about that, but that would be risking his life.
The Malfoys were too prominent in the wizarding world for that, and if they ever suspected it or found out that it was him, they would have killed him. Lucius Malfoy would have killed him.
Yeah. So I mean,
simple as that.
Yeah. So I mean, in that regard, I kind of see why it would be the Weasleys.
He had no idea that Ron was going to meet Harry and they were going to become friends, and so he would be close to Harry. That had nothing to do with it. I know a lot of fans like to think that was why, and I think that was just like a coincidence type thing.
That was a big coincidence. So that had to do with Ron. That didn't have anything to do with Wormtail.
It's not like he found out that Ron and Harry were friends and then went to live with the Weasleys. Ron had this rat before, and Percy had it before him, and then when he got an owl, he gave Wormtail to, well, let's say Scabbers, because they didn't know it was Wormtail. So he gave Scabbers to Ron, and it just so happened that Ron and Harry became friends, and then he could really keep an eye on things,
See, I almost kind of wonder if Wormtail would have been happy to even be back at Hogwarts.
I think at first it didn't bother him, but by the third book, Prisoner of Azkaban, when Sirius breaks out, he really started freaking out, and everybody thought it was because of Crookshanks, Hermione's cat, but it was really because he knew Sirius Black was coming for it.
Yeah, but I mean, still. Like, Sirius Black would really had to have, I can't even imagine why he was that scared of Sirius Black in that regard, because, yes, I get it, the missing finger and whatever,
I still have I understand the plot.
But you think he's going to, you think Sirius Black would actually be counting the digits of every rat that was...
I find it hard to believe that Sirius Black saw a picture of Ron's family when they went to Egypt and noticed that the rat was missing a toe and was like, "Oh, that's Wormtail."
Yeah.
That part was a little. It was a reach to me, and I mean, I get that they had to throw something in there to give it away so that they could have Prisoner of Azkaban, which was actually one of my favorite books and favorite movies. But it was a reach in my opinion. I mean, it's still great, but
I actually
find it hard to believe that he was like 1, 2, 3. Oh, he's only got 4 toes. This rat only has 4 toes. That's got to be Wormtail.
I would have almost liked it better if they would have gone that it was the Marauders map. But
was
the way
Sirius Black
he got a hold of the Marauders map and found it.
Yeah. If he had the Marauders map with him in Azkaban somehow, that would have been a good route to go.
Yeah.
Or maybe even instead of him be missing a toe, maybe he took out one of Wormtail's eyes and the rat had one eye, so he put it together that way. A toe was a little far fetched for me, but
yeah, I kind of felt that way too. I'm like, okay, if he's like Mad Eye Moody or something like that,
and like I said,
then could be okay, that's definitely him.
And like I said, I'm not trying to throw shade at the storyline or anything like that. There's things about any story I could come up with that could be a little more believable or a little better.
I'm definitely throwing shade at the storyline on it because to me it was very far fetched. And it was like Sirius Black had to be like a straight up Sherlock Holmes to figure out.
Like I said, if it had been more of a prominent feature on this rat that was missing, just like Wormtail's, I would be more believable than a toe or a finger,
Yeah. So I mean, in that regard, I kind of do feel like it was a reach. She could have wrote that part a little better, in my opinion. But that's the thing that I personally felt. The further I read in the books, the more unbelievable some of the things were. It's like with Dumbledore when Dumbledore left all that stuff for them to find. I mean, that was kind of reaching.
But at the same time, when you read these books, you were an adult, and when I read these books, I was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Me, I didn't think as deeply into it as I would as an adult.
And see, that's a very interesting point you make right there, because we have to remember these books were not made for adults. These books were made for a specific age range.
Yeah, I mean, they're
those things in there.
They're categorized as juvenile fiction. That means children's fiction, basically.
What book do you read at 12, even if it's a literary classic, that you read at 12, that when you're an adult you don't say, okay, that's a little weird. Why did that have to happen in that way? Like, you could do that with any book that is made for a 12-year-old. When you're an adult. You have to realize these authors were writing in that particular genre, age group, and she was trying to fit it in with that.
Let's just say, like, the Hardy Boy mystery books or something. Like, when I read those as 12, everything was believable. Yeah. But if I read them now, do I really think that these high school kids were going on these dangerous missions and solving things and solving mysteries that their grown father couldn't solve? No, I wouldn't believe that now, but as a kid, I thought it was amazing,
Yeah. Well, it's like, guys...
So, I mean, any kid's book or juvenile fiction you can pick apart as an adult compared to how you would have played it through your head as a youth.
Well, see, as for me, guys, I don't know if y'all know this, but, I probably said it in a few of my other videos. I'm a twice published author, and it was of children's books. And I'll tell you, the one biggest problem that I had was trying not to think like a adult. And because my age group was the 8 to 14-year-olds. And when I first started writing those books, the very first thing that come in my mind was, I got to make this logical. But
and I remember when you wrote those books. When I read the first one, I would call you and be like, "Hey, this part didn't quite add up," or "Hey, you kind of told the same story twice in different chapters." Like,
see, those were things.
it's easy to mess up, and it's easy
it is. It's easier than what you think about, because when you're trying to write those books as an adult, like you're trying to get into that mindset of a child and stay in that mindset. But when you're writing, and you're just doing the process, it's hard.
Even like with your book, when I would call and be like, "Hey, this didn't add up." I was reading these children's book as an adult, and so that's part of it, you know. And
so I see her
Harry Potter series. So
yeah. So I see her point. I see how the Wormtail thing for the age group, for that, and I know that's not probably the answer a lot of Harry Potter fans want, because let's face it, it would have been better if it was an eye, or if it was the Marauders map that actually found it. I actually personally, now that I think about it, I think the Marauders map thing would have been so much better if Sirius Black would have somehow got a hold of the Marauders map.
Yeah, but then there's the question of, when they left school, they left that behind, so how would he have ever possessed it? But
well, you can make the argument that the whole reason why they got it was the Weasley twins bought it at, wasn't it at that shop? What was it? Didn't they buy it, or was it left to them?
No. They stole it. They stole it from Filch's office.
Oh, Filch's office. So who had it before Filch?
Harry Potter's dad and Sirius Black and all of them.
All right, so it was something that was caught over from there. Okay.
I think, I'm not 100% sure on this, and I should be, but I think he had taken it up from them and couldn't figure out what it was, so he just put it in his little lockbox or whatever in his office, and the Weasleys snagged it from there. I know they stole it from his office. They talk about that, and when they give it to Harry, they're like, "We snitched. We took this from Filch year one," Like,
can you imagine if Filch would have actually have learned that what it was? He would have had a field day with it.
The thing is, he could have never accessed it because he couldn't do magic.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, because he's a squib.
Squib, yeah.
But I mean, see, all these are good questions. So, overall, I would say probably, at least my view of it is I don't personally believe it was because of Ron Weasley's dad's connection with the Ministry of Magic.
No, I
just
think
believe
it
was with a wizarding family that had nothing to do, wasn't
absolutely.
mixing with other
I think
families.
it was that they were very non-prominent in the wizarding world. They were poor, and they were very nice. They treated their pets with a lot of respect, and he was well taken care of, and he didn't have to worry about getting discovered.
Yeah.
And so it was just a survival instincts at this point,
Yeah, even though the Weasleys used a lot of magic, like none of them really had the mindset to figure that out. I feel like if he was like with the Malfoys, I feel like Draco would have figured something out. Something was off about his
You got to remember too, I don't know if even they would have figured it out, because of the simple fact that the only reason Sirius Black knew was because they all became animagus during high school to help Lupin when he transformed into the werewolf every month. Yeah. But they weren't registered as animagus, so nobody knew that he could do that.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that.
Except for Harry's dad, Sirius Black, and Lupin. They're the only ones that knew. And I think Dumbledore knew.
You think that? See, I always thought that Dumbledore knew.
Dumbledore did know, because he kind of allowed it to happen. That's why they planted the Whopping Willow on the grounds, so that nobody would accidentally go in there and get killed by a werewolf. Okay, like
that's kind of bad to think that. I don't know. You go to a school and you think, okay, the principal has a secret werewolf that
he's the headmaster. Yeah. And then not only did he have him there as a student, but then he hired him again as a teacher.
Yeah. So I mean, you got to look at it. I guess, and granted, I'm not the biggest Dumbledore fan, but you have to look at it just from a parent standpoint.
I'm hitting miss when it comes to Dumbledore. I'm hitting miss when it comes to
Yeah, because I'm like, if I knew that the
but
principal
again,
was
that's
putting my
because.
kid in danger like that, I'd be so pissed. It would be
Well,
unbelievable.
yeah, absolutely. But the reason I'm so hit and miss with Dumbledore is this, like we were talking earlier. I do Dumbledore as my 12, 13, 14-year-old self as well as my grown man self. So
Yeah, so
I'm hit and miss with Dumbledore because I'm still kind of like.
but overall, you know, I think we kind of at least gave the best answers that are really for us in the books.
And again, no answers that we give are
No,
going to be factual. This is
no.
all opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
this is all because it's really and you know you'll see this in the you know like the Facebook fan pages and things along those lines. Don't listen to them if you believe that if it says that it's a factual thing because there's
nobody can give
nothing
you a
in the
factual
books.
thing other than J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, only J.K.
Like,
Rowling knows these things. Like we can only debate
we can only
about it.
speculate.
We can only speculate about it. But as always, guys, I think that's about it. I mean, I think that's about all I got on it. What
That's
about
all I
you?
got. I mean,
All right.
other than he just went there for safety. Like,
all right. So as always, guys, thank y'all for watching, and y'all take care. Bye bye.